Hollywood Lightsides. The deleted scenes of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I really love the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure. In my life, I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen it. But one thing I didn't know for a long time is that there were many deleted scenes that never saw the light of day until the movie's DVD release. Furthermore, every one of these deleted scenes should have been in the movie. They don't add that much time, and they explain some of the things that don't make sense. Amazing Larry. In the movie you saw, Pee-wee has a big meeting with all his friends and associates. At one point, he calls out Amazing Larry. This is a curious character because he's clearly an older guy who looks all punked out with a mohawk. Who is he, and what makes him amazing? Well, in a scene that was entirely cut from the movie, Amazing Larry is a character who is introduced to Pee-wee at the magic shop. He's a magician who shows off his big trick, making his wig lift off his head and fly around the room before returning on his scalp. Pee-wee is impressed, but Larry wishes he could jazz it up a bit. Pee-wee then points to a mohawk-wearing punk outside, and Larry gets an inspiration. This scene really should have been left in the movie, as it explains Amazing Larry. Plus, it's a clever scene that adds the whimsy you expect from a Pee Wee Herman movie. Boon the Bear. This scene being cut is pure folly. It bridges the gap between the rodeo, where Pee-wee has his mishap, and the scene where he arrives at the biker bar. In the movie, as it was released, Pee-wee is brought to by the other cowboys at the rodeo. Then, next thing you know, he's walking up to the biker bar. Since the time I was little, I always knew there had to be something between there, and I was right. It's too much of a jump from one scene to another. In the deleted scene, after Pee-wee comes to at the rodeo, he walks into the parking lot where an old rodeo cowboy and his pretty Indian wife offer him a ride in their truck. When Pee-wee opens the door, he finds a real live bear sitting inside named Boon. Boon is a friendly bear. Going down the road, Pee-wee falls asleep and has another nightmare regarding his missing bike. I'll be honest, this part of the deleted scene could go away entirely. I never did like the nightmarish dream sequences in this movie. I don't find them funny, and they serve no importance to the story. I think we're all aware that Pee-wee goes nuts when his bike is stolen. The nightmares add nothing. In the nightmare, though, Pee-wee is performing in a circus on the high wire. Boon the Bear is on his bike, coming from the other side. They're about to meet when Boon takes off his head and reveals himself to be Francis, the fat guy who had Pee-wee's bike stolen. Pee-wee falls off the rope and wakes up to Boon licking his face. Pee-wee nervously demands the couple to stop the truck so he can get out and make a phone call. That leads right up to where he's walking to the biker bar. If they really wanted to make this deleted scene work in the movie, they should have omitted the nightmare part and just insinuated that Pee-wee was restless. I thought the addition of the bear to the actual movie would have been great. Pee-wee was always an animal-friendly character anyway, and it was amusing to see him with the bear. Bikers in the hospital. When you see the movie, you know Pee-wee goes into a rowdy biker bar with the intent on making a phone call. He chews out the bikers to keep the noise down, and they react. Pee-wee finds out that he just angered the Satan's helpers. He's lucky to leave in one piece, but when he steps out of the bar, he accidentally knocks over all their motorcycles. The bikers drag him back inside, and he's just about to meet his maker when, as a last request, he entertains them with his now famous Pee-wee dance. The old song Tequila plays in the background, and after he starts smashing stuff in what he calls breakdancing, he becomes buddies with the bikers. Not only does he leave them as friends, but they give him a motorcycle to finish his journey. Pee-wee, not being much of a biker, immediately crashes into a billboard and knocks himself out. We don't see the bikers again until the end of the movie. What you don't see in the final cut of the film is that the bikers come to visit Pee-wee in the hospital, who is despondent. This was a really important scene that should have been left in. The bikers come to cheer him up, displaying a much different attitude than they had towards him in the beginning. Their efforts don't work though, and the nurse rushes them out. The attractive nurse gives Pee-wee a giant, cartoonish-looking needle for a sedative that leads into his long, extended nightmare that actually made it into the movie. Another thing to note is that you see Pee-wee's doctor, Dr. Day. This is the same doctor Pee-wee sees in his nightmare in the actual film, who does surgery on his bicycle. The big difference here is that the real-life doctor is a nice guy, where the version in Pee-wee's nightmare has scary clown makeup. There are a few other things to point out. The red-headed biker mama you see in this deleted scene, and in the actual movie, is Cassandra Peterson, best known for playing Elvira. One of the bikers you see here, and in the final film, is musician Al Cooper. He's the one with sunglasses, a full head of hair, and a full beard. Al was a founding member of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, a producer, a solo artist, and quite successful with his album Super Session that featured Michael Bloomfield and Stephen Stills. I like Al's music, so it's cool to see him here. Extended studio chase. Pee-wee finally finds his bike at the movie studio and races away with it. This is a cool moment in the movie because you get a lot of funny action and mayhem. I don't think any of this needed to be cut, but one bit in particular was just stupid to cut out, and it actually delivered on something that was promised in the actual film. Early in the movie, when Pee-wee goes to the magic shop, he buys a boomerang bow tie. It was a funny thing to say, but you never got to see him use his boomerang bow tie until this deleted scene. Pee-wee hides out in a building on the western set of the movie studio. To distract the guards, who are hot on his trail, Pee-wee bends the bow tie and throws it out the window, smashing a window on the other side of the street and sending the guards on a wild goose chase. The boomerang then returns to Pee-wee. This was a goofy, James Bond kind of sight gag that is really appropriate for Pee-wee, and it delivers on the promise made earlier in the magic shop. No matter what, this really should have been in the movie. Wrapping it up. All in all, if they would have left all of these scenes in, with just a bit of trimming, it would have added maybe 10 minutes to the film's runtime. That's it. And they would have added so much to the movie. I hate to see good work go wasted. Back in 1985, no one was thinking, hey, let's save these deleted scenes for the DVD. DVDs didn't exist. VHS tapes were still a novelty and rarely featured extras. Sadly, these deleted scenes weren't well preserved, and it's a lucky thing they were saved at all. They came out grainy, with other picture flaws, and time-stamped, but they're definitely worth watching on the DVD release. This extra footage is just another way to enjoy the comedy classic that is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Another of Hollywood's light sides.